Well, what do you say about that one, guys? Game just finished maybe 5-10 minutes ago, and not really sure how to feel about this one. It it looked like it was going to be yet another game where we just found a stupid way to lose, and the guys pulled it out. And there are some guys on this team that obviously you want to get on because they're not playing as well as you expected them to, and you want them to, and you need them to. But the guys, they went out there and they played just good enough. So, you know, for me, the game felt a little weird after halftime with the the Ricardo Lockett thing. And if you watched the game or you were watching any kind of football, you probably saw it. Looked like a pretty normal football play. Jeff Heath came over and was blocking Lockett on a punt return. Got into him pretty good. It was a hard hit. Seemed pretty in line with what you would expect to see in football, and it was just the perfect thing. And he looked like he was dead, and the game had to stop for 10 minutes so they could get him on the stretcher. And the whole rest of the game, it took me a while to get back into things. It wasn't really until midway through the fourth quarter where I really started, thinking again about how, oh yeah, we need to win this game to keep our season alive. So, yeah, that was a tough one. And Ricardo Lockett, he's certainly not one of the best players on this team. He's not one of my favorite players on the team, but I've met him, and seems like a cool guy. He's had an impact on this team the last few seasons, and hope he's okay. That's all you can say. My initial impression was he was dead, and then my next impression was, oh, he's never going to play football again. But all the news coming out of the hospital after halftime was good. In fact, the indication was the only real injury he sustained was a concussion, so must have just been a mean frickin' concussion. So yeah, that kind of took a lot of the gusto out of this game for me. And as for the rest of this game, I don't know. The defense, they don't overwhelm you once again. I mean, the defense, I can't say they overwhelmed me because they got very little pressure on the quarterback and they got no turnovers yet again. They play another team that seems to be very turnover happy. I mean, the Cowboys under Matt Castle, what we've seen so far, they seem to have a propensity for turning the ball over. We don't get a turnover. Sherman dropped a pick. There were a couple other opportunities for us to, force the ball out, and it just didn't happen. But at the end of the day, you look at the numbers, you look at the production that the Cowboys had, and defense continues to play like they're ready to go win another Super Bowl. It hasn't been perfect this year by any stretch, but they've been, today they held the Cowboys to under 100 passing yards. I think Castle ended up with like 91 net yards. McFadden did some damage. He did some good things, but he did some, he had negative plays as well. And at the end of the day, the Cowboys' only really successful plays in this game were one, Matt Castle scrambling. He took off for long runs a couple times, and that was just weird because that's not what you game plan for against Matt Castle. But that and the dump offs to McFadden out of the backfield. Other than that, they really didn't do much of anything. They had some good drives. They moved the ball. They were able to pick up first downs, but you're coming away from this game, you give up 4 field goals. You had one possession where the Cowboys started inside the 15-yard line, and they still had to kick a field goal. The defensive line, they got dominated for portions of this game, but I love the way they kept fighting and they found ways to make plays in other circumstances. Like guys like Cliff Averill and Michael Bennett and Jordan Hill, they didn't get to the quarterback a lot, so they got their hands up and they knocked down a few passes. I think Cliff Averill had one, and Bruce Irvin might have had one too. Frank Clark had a hit on the Darren McFadden on that pitch halfback pass play that they tried to run that was instrumental in making sure they weren't going to get that touchdown. Bennett, just a little bit of stupidity. with that late hit on the or not, it wasn't a late hit, it was a low hit on Castle on that last drive, but they found ways to make plays. Cliff Averill had a tackle for loss. I think it was actually on the Cowboys' last drive before our field goal drive that won the game. They found ways to stay in it. Richard Sherman might have played one of his best games tonight, and he dropped a pick. He dropped two picks. Props to Dez for both, because Dez on both those plays made sure Sherman wasn't going to get the pick. So that's nothing against Sherman, but he gave up, I think, two catches all day to Dez Bryant. One of those catches was a loss of 2 yards, so four pass deflections for Sherman in this game. Just a lot of really good stuff from Richard today, and he showed why he's still one of the best cornerbacks in football. So, yeah, kind things to say about the guys on defense for the most part. Very few lapses, but this team is not going to get to where they want to be unless the offense picks it up. And, you look at the individual players, and the performances are not that bad. Wilson, he played okay today. There were some bad throws out there, but there were some great throws. He missed Jimmy Graham on a 3rd and 9 early in the game that could have been big. He overthrew Chris Matthews by 6 yards on what was very nearly a game-ending interception. But I thought Wilson played okay. I thought Lynch did everything he could do for the most part. There were some very good carries in there, but really at the end of the game, he just started going backwards, and he did some more stuff to help us try to blow this game. But at the end of the day, I can't say too much bad about that. And the receivers, Jimmy Graham had one of his best games as a Seahawk. Luke Wilson, this was the one part of the offense today that really got me excited. Barry Church went out for a few plays on one of our drives in the second quarter, and there was immediate recognition that Jeff Heath came into the game and we could attack that guy in pass coverage. So we went to Luke Wilson twice on that drive. He got 20-yard gains on both those plays, got in the end zone. That was the one time where I saw some real sharpness out of this offense today. I mean, they were on point. They saw the matchup and they took it. And Luke Wilson got his first touchdown pass of the season. He produced. Tyler Lockett had some good catches. Doug Baldwin made some catches near the end of the game. The guys are producing, but I don't know. It's not resulting in points. And obviously there are little things that go wrong in a drive that completely upset things. A penalty, a sack, those kinds of things can upset a drive and kill a promising drive, but there were not that many penalties today. It was a fairly clean game by the offense, and we gave up no sacks. Obviously, there were some pressures, but we didn't give up a sack the whole game, which is incredible. I couldn't believe that our offensive line was playing as well as they did. Greg Hardy, yeah, he got pressure a few times, but we held him down for the most part. He was doing some good stuff, but but he didn't murder us like I was afraid he was going to. So I don't know what the answer is. Just seems like every time we try to go, a lot of times we try to go for these big plays, and it's just not, one thing goes wrong. And in football, you've got 11 players on that field, and one guy messes up, and it doesn't matter what the other 10 guys do sometimes. Other 10 guys can execute perfectly, but if that one guy can mess up the whole thing. So we got a bye week to figure all this stuff out now. Some stuff to be happy about after this game. Some stuff to be really concerned about. I don't even know if I should give him credit for this, but Bruce Irvin, that sack at the end, way to close. That's the kind of stuff we haven't been getting this season. Against the Bengals and against the Panthers, we would have seen, just people probably give up on the play, but Bruce Irvin didn't give up on that play when he really could have, because Castle had all day back there and he just couldn't find anybody. And sometimes if you keep pushing and keep pushing, you get to him and he gets the only sack of the game for either team. So props to Bruce. He's played pretty good this year. I have appreciation for that. I don't know, guys. I'm all over the place with this right now. I'm happy we won. What happened with Ricardo Lockett sucks the juice a little bit out of you, obviously. You just hope he's okay. And as for this team, you hope they play better going forward. But yeah, did just enough to get this win, I guess. And I'll guess I'll take back some of the stuff I said about Alvin Bailey, because Alvin Bailey did okay today. He got his lunch stolen by Greg Hardy on the interception that Greg Hardy had. That was just, he made him look stupid on that one. But other than that, I can't hate on Alvin Bailey too much. He played a clean game. The game plan was fairly effective at making sure that having a backup left tackle in there wasn't going to kill us. So there's a lot good I can say and a lot bad I can say, and we got a bye week to sort all this stuff out. I'll come out with a video on the bye week talking about where this team is and talking about where it can go. But right now, all you can do is enjoy the win. And thank God they didn't have Tony Romo, because I promise you, if Tony Romo was playing in that game, I'm just being real. If Tony Romo was playing in that game, we can pretty much forget about it. So there you go. See you guys later.